even like down to the hair clips. Bar for bar, I took this from Chloe Bailey. But it's fine. It's fine because it's cute. And honestly, like, why would you post it if you didn't want people to copy it? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you post it and why would you let it be as cute as it was? Now I gotta do it. I gotta copy it now. I gotta make sure my okay. All right, because my last video, y'all. Let me scoot this up a little bit. My last, hey big sis, my live yesterday, it was actually a really good one. If y'all didn't watch it, make sure you go back and check it out on YouTube. But I my camera was like slightly out of focus. And so I'm making sure that today it is in the right place. These, thank you. These earrings are courtesy of the local beauty supply. I thought that they were cute. I used to have some that have like they're just like a regular hoop shape. These are hearts. And I loved the ones that I had before, but I lost them. So then I got these and I felt like I haven't seen like the heart shaped ones in a while. But when I make my way back down there, I'm gonna pick up another pair of them. Oh, thank y'all. Okay, let me put this in the camera. So these bracelets, my mom made these bracelets, y'all. She's been getting into making bracelets lately. Like that's been her hobby. And so there's actually someone on TikTok that sells these bracelets. I mean, not these bracelets, these beads. And they sell them in sets. So my mom has been making us she's been making us bracelets. I love it. I'm like, I'll be giving her suggestions and then she takes my suggestions and then she goes and she makes them. So yeah. Yeah. I'll see. Now, if she ever makes them for anybody else, I have to pose it as a gift because she doesn't want it to be a business. So I'm just letting y'all know that now. She's like me in that way where like we are good at doing a lot of things creatively, but I don't want to monetize everything that I can do creatively. And so even when it came to me making my fashion content, I pulled back on it initially a few years ago because I was doing it to market, but I no longer wanted to do fashion design and take clients. So I stopped doing that. But because of that, I didn't want to make content and then have people be like, "Oh, I want to, can you make me a pair? Or do you do this? Do you do that?" And I got to be like, "No, I just do it for fun." I just do it for fun. So this is her hobby right now. So if she ever decides that she wants to do it outside of a hobby, then y'all will be the first to know because I'm her influencer and I'm showing these off all the time. But yeah, so these are my this is my part of my utada. I'm doing more up top because down at the bottom I didn't even put no shoes on or nothing, y'all. I did not. We just came out with what we got today. I might do a utada later, like a video. I might record a video after my son gets back home from school and everything. But I really just put this on to put on some clothes, and the star of the show was like my hair and the accessories. So, and I'm trying to get my accessory game up. The next thing that I got to focus on, I got a good amount of bracelets, but I still want some more like bangles. And then I want to work on my necklaces. Like I want to be able to get like the ones that have the charms on them. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I've been seeing them for a long time, but it feels like right now is where they're starting to become more popular. Hey Bill. And I think that it'll be easier for me to find them, but I love when people like layer necklaces. Like I love it when it's just like the drama. I love the drama of it all. So that's the next thing that I want to work on. So what needs to be added to y'all accessories? I'm not your accessories, but to your wardrobe. Like what are y'all trying to build up? Y'all trying to build up y'all accessories? Y'all trying to get more shoes? You need more dresses, more pants, more tops? What do y'all need more of in your wardrobe? Like what y'all focusing on? Thank you, So Divine. Check out Design by Lou on Facebook. Okay, does she do necklaces? Does she do necklaces? Cause That would be great. I want to just find a good place and get a chunk of them. You need more shoes? Mm, I could actually I probably could. I've been getting more shoes, but if I'm honest, especially in the summertime, I don't buy shoes that much because my feet are wide and sandals don't ever do me right. They don't never do me right. So I tend to buy more shoes in the fall and in the winter. But mostly in the fall. Like I love a good boot. I love boots. I love platform sneakers. I love boots. I don't know. I just love boots. Like they're just great. And one of my favorite thing about boots is that you can wear them in the summer and the winter. Like they're always relevant for the most part. Outside of like, don't be wearing Uggs in July because that's wild. But y'all know what I mean. Like a good leather boot, thigh high. That's why one of the things I love about Mary J. Blige, I love like she's like the queen of thigh high boots, and I love that for us. Oh, I love seeing Mary in her boots. She has an app by the same name, designed by Lou. Okay, and I said it so I'll be able to remember that. Okay, y'all. So y'all can see my arrow is down today. It's down. So yesterday I was at 652 subscribers, and I when I went live, I didn't know that I had 652. When I went live yesterday, the last number I saw was 646, and that's what I wrote down. And then I got on live and a friend of mine told me, "No, you're at 652." And I was like, "What?" So then I wrote that the sticky note, and I put it on mic. And when I looked at it today, I was at 648. And then someone subscribed today. They let me know they subscribed. So now I'm at 649. And I was like, how I'm already going down. How did I go from 652 to 649? I didn't even know. Like it was like I lost them as quickly as I got them. But I'm not feeling bad about it. There was like a slight moment where I was like, dang, like that's annoying. But it wasn't enough to knock me off my game. But I just thought that it was interesting because, if I'm being honest, so this is how I'm looking at it. I feel like if everything was just like going up and up, that wouldn't be a realistic story to me. It seems more realistic that I'm going up and then I had a down and then, I can go back up again. I feel like that's a more realistic story. And then when I retell it in my documentary, I could be like, I went down, but I came back up. Like I had my valley moment. I know, but I think it's not a big deal, but I guess it was annoying that it changed the way that it did, especially because I'm already trying to get to 1,000. Like the journey to 1,000. It just feels like the longest journey ever because I don't believe that it'll be as difficult to grow once I hit that threshold. But right now, where we at is like, come on. Like what were those follows and why did y'all take them back so quickly? But yeah, I'm all good. I'm all good. Happy Monday, Kayla. Okay, so yeah, but this is the number. So I'm showing it whether it's up or down. And today we're at 649 and our goal is 1,000. We're only 4 days in. So I'm feeling excited about it. Um Okay, I'm trying to remember what I was going to talk about today because there's a couple of things. All right, so before I get into my confession for today, I want to let y'all know that I'm going to start a series. Okay, so starting tomorrow, I'm going to start teaching y'all about the brand personalities. Okay, so you may have heard them called. If you've heard of them before, you may have heard of them referred to as brand archetypes. Some people call them brand personalities, and they are the different personas and aspects of your brand that give it character, that give it the voice, that gives it the language, that gives it the colors, that gives it the imagery, that helps to communicate your brand effectively. And everybody has a brand personality or multiple personalities. I believe the that the sweet spot is 3. When you have 3, that helps you to have a well-rounded brand that isn't a cliche or a stereotype. Because with the brand personalities, and when I start to break them down, you'll see. But it, like, imagine, like, when it comes to your style, right? Like, let's talk about personal style for a second and compare it. Maybe you're someone who loves like the classics, right? Like, you love a good classic thing, but your whole aesthetic isn't classic. Like, maybe you like to have a classic, but then you like to, pop a trendy piece in every now and then. Or maybe you more lean more towards like a tomboyish look, but there are more feminine elements that you like to incorporate into your style. And so having those different aspects of your brand personality helps you not to fall into this box of this one dimensional, this is all that my brand does, right? And the reason why knowing your brand personality is so important is because not only does it help you to understand your brand better and how you can communicate it and how you can communicate to the world who you are and what you do and who you want to attract, which is where most times the disconnect is. But also it helps you to know who you're talking to. Like, it helps you to know what language to use. It helps you to know what colors make sense for your brand, who you're trying to attract. And a lot of times they're just not seeing where they're falling short. And so I decided that I'm going to teach y'all on those. So there's 12 brand personalities. So for the next 12 days, not counting today, but for the next 12 days, I'll be going through each brand personality. And after each brand personality episode, I will link to a blog post on my website that breaks them down even more so that you can have a reference to go back and look at your brand personalities. I do offer a service where I help you to figure out what your brand personality is. And when the first video goes up tomorrow, I'll go into more detail on what that looks like. But from that, for now, I'm gonna just, teach you what they are. And then you can start to, pick up on the things that you're hearing and get an idea of what yours might be. Okay. So I want to let y'all know I would have started it today, but there's some things that I got to work on the back end to make sure that when I get off live, y'all know where to go and I don't have to do anything extra. So if I have time after this, I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about. But for the sake of time, I won't get into that today. But just so you know, what you got to look forward to. All right. So, y'all, so my confession for today, my creator confession is that I used AI to help me figure out my influencer rate for this project that I was asked to participate in. And the reason why it's a confession is because the where we are now in the influencer space, there's so much complexity in what you can offer and what brands might ask for in terms of deliverables. Like, you have some who want you to create sponsored content. You have some that want you to create UGC content. You have some that want you to create a mix of both. And then you have all of these different deliverables coupled with what should I be charging as an influencer, depending on my audience size, depending on my engagement rates, and how does all of that come into play in determining how much I should charge. Then if people want to run ads on your content, if they're trying to whitelist it or boost it in any way, however long they plan to use the content. There's a lot of things that you got to think about when it comes to setting your rates. And because of that reason, that's one thing that I've always had a challenge with. Like, I've always struggled with knowing exactly what I should be charging. And so for instead of like what I would typically do, the first thing that I would do is I would like put it off, and I would put it off so long that I would create a price, but then I would lowball myself. Especially because I wouldn't ask like for the specifics on what is included, what they would be looking for in the contract, like what's the obligation, what like rights, who has the rights to my content, like all of these different things. So that's one thing that I would do. I would just kind of like lowball myself and just throw a price out there. Another thing that I would do is I wouldn't respond. Like and I know that sounds bad, and I would more often lowball myself than not respond, but there would be some deals where it wouldn't even make sense to me to really give it any real attention. So I'm not going to share my rates with you because I don't take this particular request seriously. You know what I'm saying? So I decided, especially after looking at the deliverables, at first I felt like super duper overwhelmed by it. And I see your comment, Angel. I'm not ignoring it. Give me 1 second, okay? So I would instead of just like freaking out about the deliverables, because at first I was like, woo, all right, these are a lot of different options. And inside of the email, they asked me for my rate for four different types of deliverables. So, like, one was like strictly a UGC option where I wouldn't have to edit the content. I just have to create the raw content and then send it to them. But even with that, there are certain like rights involved and like usage rights and how long they're going to be using it. So that's something that has to be discussed, or it like put out there so that they know what my expectations are for how long they would be using the content. Um, and then they had one where it was like a sponsor post and um, I think it was like a sponsored post with a certain amount of usage rights. Another one was a sponsored post and something with UGC, and then another one was like a combination of the first UGC one and sponsored content. So they were asking for a couple of different things. Not only were they asking for that, but they also wanted to know um my demographics and my metrics. So my engagement rate, my follower size, um, where the people were located in my audience, and the age range. So like which age ranges for each platform that was most high. So it was a lot of different things that they were asking for from me in order to determine how they wanted to work with me. So I was looking at that at first and I was like, man, no, that's a whole lot. Where do I even start with this? Where do I even start? So that was one of the biggest reasons why I decided that instead of just like freaking out and just like throwing up some arbitrary numbers for each thing, I was like, well, what if I use Chat GPT and I put in my metrics, I put in all of the information about me, and then I also put in the deliverables, and then I ask it to give me some options on some price ranges depending on each thing, and also keeping into account my audience size. Hold on for a second, y'all. Oh, you said, oh, how in the world do you differentiate those different types of content? I'd go straight to AI. Yeah, that was it was chat. It was chat for me. Okay. It was chat for me. So I decided that that's what I was gonna do. And I didn't get this idea from anybody. Like I had never seen anyone do this or, ask Chat GPT this. I felt like honestly, the reason why this is a confession is because there is a part of me that felt like, oh, you should know this already. Like you should already have these numbers like off top of your head. You should just know, right? And the reason why I didn't is because I had um after over the summertime, I realized that I needed to change my rates for what I was charging for content. And so one thing about me, and this is something that I tell the people that work with me as well. This is something that I've started to do so that I can get more comfortable with charging what charging the value of my services. But I tell people to start with the number that you're comfortable at and then work your way up, right? Like don't allow the fact that you're new to this, or the fact that you're growing, or maybe you're not at the space that you want to be, deter you from charging anything at all. I always say it's better to just start low and then raise your prices as you get more experience or as you get more comfortable. But also what that does is I get the deal, and I had one deal in particular where I got that deal, and as I started to execute it and fulfill all the deliverables for it, I started to realize, oh, there's more work involved in this than what I was accounting for when I sent them my rate, right? Or when I accepted that rate. So now, taking into account all of these things, I know that I can now charge more for this particular type of content. So that's how I work, because I sometimes there's things where I just have to see that I can do it and execute it and fulfill, the needs of the client, and just show myself that I can do it, and then I feel more comfortable saying, okay, I could charge this or charge this. So going back to me using chat to figure out my influencer rates, when I did that and I put in all of my numbers and I put in what the deliverables were, because chat gpt is objective, and it's not biased, like it's literally just creating these numbers based off of what you put into it. I felt more confident in those numbers, because even though they were higher than what I was used to charging, I know that it took into account everything that I put in there. I didn't inflate anything. I didn't make anything up. So this literally was showing me, this is where you're at. This is what you should be charging. This is the value of the work that you do. And the one thing that I will say about the collaborations and like my rates, and why I can charge what I do confidently, is because of my engagement rate. So a lot of times as creators, we feel intimidated or we feel discouraged because we don't have the platform size that some of the other creators that we see that are getting sponsorships and brand deals, we don't have those same numbers as them. But what we're failing to realize is that even as a creator, you have options. So the first thing is that my engagement rate is going to always demand more, regardless of my follower size, because my engagement rate is really good. Even when my reach is low, when my views are low, my engagement, the ratio of people that actually engage with my content is always excellent. And then another thing is that if you have good engagement, you're able to still get deals and pay for usage rights for a brand to boost your boost your content. Because when you have a good engagement rate, you make quality content, you're showing that you make good content, that the engagement rate is high, and then when they put money behind it, for it to be an ad, it performs very well. Like that typically means that it's going to perform well, because now that money is going to push the views, and that's going to be in combination with your engagement rates. So does that make sense? Are y'all getting what I'm saying with that? I had an experience. I asked my client what she was willing to invest, and I charged her 397. Was this is like influencer work, or was this for something else? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I had to learn that lesson the hard way, Angel. I had to learn that lesson the hard way. So it does not pay to lowball yourself. Like it doesn't. And even whatever we're charging a lot of times as creators, we're still not charging what we should. We're still not charging what we should. So, yeah. Yeah. So this exercise was really helpful for me because I literally could not lowball myself and it gave me a price range. So even though I felt I felt more confident with the numbers because of me going through, chat to figure it out. I chose to use the mid-range point for each of the price ranges that it offered me. So, um everything that I submitted to the brand that wants to collaborate with me, everything that I sent, I used the middle range, and I settled there because I knew I wasn't on the low end, but I wasn't comfortable yet charging on the highest end, and so I felt like the middle point was a good space for me to go, and as I do more and work more and get more comfortable charging these rates, then I can start to increase them. You know what I'm saying? So I know that this is not the thing that's like typically taught to people, especially when people are like charge your worth, and which I've always hated that because you can never charge your worth. You can charge for the value of your work, but charging your worth is has always been a very weird thing to say to me. But charging charging the correct value for what it is that you do, I know that they always tell you to, make your set your price and add a zero, or what are some of the other things that people say? It's always like these phrases that are challenging you to charge more, which in theory I get them and I appreciate what they're trying to do, but for me that started to feel like a lot of pressure, and I felt shame when I didn't feel confident charging more. And so because I didn't feel confident charging those numbers, then that meant to me, okay, how do I what do I need to figure out so that I can feel more confident? So some of the things that help me to feel more comfortable with charging more and increasing my prices is, first of all, that exercise that I did with ChatGPT to figure out my rates, because that was an objective point of view that took into account everything that I will be doing and everything that everywhere that I'm at metrics wise, where it was like, oh no, this is unbiased, this is what minimum I should be charging for the work that I'm doing, right? Another thing that has helped me to feel more confident in charging more is looking at the scope of work that I'm doing and thinking about the experiences that I've gone through in order to um give people this type of experience. So I'm gonna answer that in a second, Angel. So looking at what's included in it, what the experiences that I've gone through in order to be able to do this work for people, and literally like outlining it. Like if you like itemize each thing that you're doing and you think about the price that it costs and the time that it takes to do those things at minimum, you're starting to see, oh, this is just what it would take just to keep the business going. Like at minimum, at least, this is just what I should be charging in order to survive, in order to live. And so knowing those numbers, having those numbers, like being able to see it and justify my price has helped me to feel more confident in charging more and increasing my prices as I go. So like having more of the information, and it might come across to some people as having to prove yourself, but the way that I like to look at it is you're just making sure that first of all you feel good and you feel secure in what it is that you're doing and what you're offering, right? But then you're also giving your clients, your future clients, an idea of what they're paying for, which is fair. It's fair to say, okay, help me to understand what is all included in this service. What am I getting? What are you responsible for? Having that clarity is something that, just like as a basic standard of running business, you should already have in place, because if you're telling someone that they can trust you with their money, then you should at minimum be letting them know what they're investing in. Like that, like just like how they have to disclose ingredients in our food. When you look before you buy a course, you look at what all is included in that course. You look at all the things that's included in that subscription. Like those types of things, being able to justify your prices is not always a negative thing. I think the only time that it becomes a negative thing is when when people are combative and arguing with you about your price. Then that's when it's a problem. But if someone just wants to understand what it is that they're paying for, that's reasonable. That's more than fair. So looking at it that way, and kind of taking the emotion out of it, not ignoring how I feel about, charging more and handling more money, and, the responsibility that comes with it. Like those are all things that at some point I could talk about that again. But um there's emotions aside, setting those aside, looking at it objectively helps to feel more confident in charging what I do, because it's not a personal thing. It's a this is what it takes for me to function as a business, which for a lot of us ends up being the problem, is that we're not charging what we need to in order to survive. The other thing, a lot of times, is that there's just not enough opportunity coming in. So not enough clients, not enough visibility, not enough people knowing what you do, which is a whole other problem. But the price that we charge is oftentimes a big contributor to not having what we need. So yeah, that's what I did. So Angel over on TikTok, she asked about the prompt that I used. I will share a screenshot of it inside of our Telegram. So inside of our For Trendsetters Only Telegram, I'll share a screenshot of it in the resources tab, and so you can use that to to figure out your rates. If you're not inside of the Trendsetter community, it is our community that's hosted on Telegram. It is a free community for creative entrepreneurs. So if you need a place where you can get resources like the one I'm about to drop in there, if you need to have people who are on this journey of entrepreneurship with you, fellow business owners, fellow creators who want to just build genuine connections with one another, then you can join the link in my bio. And if you're on YouTube, you can join the link. I'll drop the link in the description box so that you can join the community and you can be surrounded by good people who want to see you win, and also have the resources that you're looking for in order to feel more confident in what you're doing. Get those influencer deals, those brand deals you're looking for. Start building out your product suite or your service suite. So anything that you need, creative, entrepreneurship wise, we're creating that space where you can get all that information. So before I go, because that was pretty much it. I talked about that longer than I thought. I'm going to tell y'all some of the other things that I've been using AI for, because there's some, I guess it's like controversy. Like it's kind of taboo to use AI as a creator. A lot of people feel like it's cheating. A lot of people feel like that it's not um that it's like taking not taking over, but it's basically like replacing actual talent and skill. And what I will say is that those things are happening. Like people are using AI to like cheat the system and to try to get away with making money for things that they are not really skilled at, and not using it with integrity. But what I will say to that is that that's not an AI problem, that's a human problem. Like, people are going to use things for what they want to use them for. It is really simply just a tool, and how you decide to utilize it and in which ways you decide to disclose it, that is completely up to each individual. So that's the thing that I will say. That's my stance on AI. Now, with that said, me and chat, we've been like this. Okay. Like, I have really been leaning on it heavier, especially these past few months, because as I've used it more, it's starting to learn my voice. It's starting to understand how I talk. It's starting to remember things about me. And that's been really helpful because it's been like an assistant. It's been like a virtual assistant. Then it's been really helpful for me. So I wanted to tell y'all some of the things that I've been using AI for, because if you haven't figured out ways to use it to make your life easier, then I really need you to start tapping into what it is that you need and figuring out how you can make that happen. Like, I really would suggest everybody, especially people who are in the stage where you're doing things solo, even if you're not doing things solo, but you have a very lean team, then you can utilize AI in a lot of ways that doesn't have to sound like or feel like a robot's doing it. Okay. So, with that being said, here are some of the things that I've been using it for. So, the first thing that I've been using it for is I used it to rewrite my bio or my About Me page on my website. Now, the rewrite is not live yet. That's one of the things that I'm gonna be working on after I get off live. That'll be one of my evening tasks, along with setting up everything for the brand personalities. So I'm gonna be doing that tonight. But when I post it, I'll share it and I'll let y'all see how it all sounds and how it looks, because I've it really is got it's as close to my voice as I've been able to get chat to do. So I'm really, really proud of how well it turned out and how it sounds. So the other thing that I've used it for, like I told y'all before, I used it to find my influencer rates. Because with me realizing that that's something that I needed to be intentional about setting and raising the prices of, and also trying to figure out how to price the deliverables that were asked of me, I wanted to feel confident in the number that I was giving, especially taking into account those usage rights and them wanting to run ads on my content. Okay. The other thing that I used it for, which is something I haven't shared yet, but I used it to figure out what type of creator I am. So there has been this dialogue that's been going on for a little while on LinkedIn, talking about the role of of an influencer and their purpose, right? And so there are some people who feel that influencers should not be responsible for conversion, which is them getting people to click the link in their bios or purchase a product, and that influencers are really just a part of the brand awareness strategy, which is something that I don't have enough time to get into today. But it's basically like brand awareness. The brand awareness campaigns are typically what brands do when they are a new brand and they're trying to get their name out there, or they are an established brand and they have a new campaign or a new product that they're rolling out. So they'll have an awareness campaign going on so that people know, hey, this is what we're doing, this is the direction that we're going in, this is how we're moving, right? Like a one that something that's recent, that would be from an established brand, is Kai Sanat doing the McChicken. And so they had some ads running on podcasts, and those podcasts, I don't feel like they're expecting people to go and buy a McChicken as they're listening to it's not a McChicken, it's the chicken Big Mac, not a McChicken. Anyway, they're not I don't think they're expecting people to hear that ad and immediately go out and buy it. Like they're not tracking the conversion of that. That was more of awareness so that people know that it's happening. So that would be awareness for an established brand. So there's been some conversations between different groups of people who feel like like influencers shouldn't be responsible for conversion versus influencers that should be responsible for conversion, right? And so I've never felt like I was the kind of creator that had high conversion rates, right? Like that was never something that I felt comfortable with. I've always felt like if you want to work with me, I'm best suited for long-term campaigns. Like if you just do a one-off with me, it might do well, it might not. But if you have a long-term campaign and it's something that's like built over time, that's something that I do well. And so I decided to ask ChatGPT, what kind of influencer am I? And it gave it gave me a list of the different types of partnerships that I would be best suited for. So then that's something that I might make a post about that. I haven't talked about that before. I did it and then I just kind of forgot that I did it. But that was an interesting thing to find out. And then the last thing that I used it for, that I currently use it for, that has been, I think, the most beneficial for me right now is I've been using it to turn my live streams into blog posts and emails. So, no, my mom made the bracelet. Thank you, Mask. I've been using it to create blog posts and emails. So, I've been doing the posts on LinkedIn and I had this thought. So, y'all roll with me on this one cuz I got to nerd out just a little bit about this one. That's a good question, Angel. I'll answer that right after this. Thank you, Mask. So I felt like my posts on LinkedIn weren't getting enough traction. I didn't feel like I was getting enough visibility and it just felt like when I was making posts like I was just like talking to crickets. So when I when I started to make the blog posts, I had a newsletter that I started and I forgot about this newsletter completely. Like it just completely slipped my mind. And so I started this newsletter a while ago on LinkedIn because I had this idea that if I started a newsletter, that would be a great way to kind of like operate almost like an email list, right? Because people can subscribe to your newsletters on LinkedIn. If you didn't know that, they can subscribe to them. And so that means that every time you make a new post, they're getting notification about your newsletter coming out. So I decided that instead of doing like my long posts on LinkedIn and making them a regular post, that I was going to instead start to create turn my long post into newsletters. So now they're like short newsletters. So most of them are around 3 to 4 minutes long, but those immediately get more visibility than my regular posts. And so what I've been doing is I'll take my live streams and I'll convert them to a blog post, or sometimes I'll take my threads posts and I'll expand on them a little bit, and then I'll turn those into my newsletter post. And so not only has that been good for my LinkedIn, but it's also been giving me content for my website as well. So now I have blog stuff on LinkedIn and I have it on my website. And I think at this point, I only have 3 blog posts. I thought I wrote more, but I guess not. I only have 3 blog posts on LinkedIn, and I already have 157 subscribers on there. I didn't even know. I didn't know till I looked at it the other day. And I was like, wait a minute, I got 157 subscribers on my newsletter. I don't even have a picture for my newsletter yet, but people like subscribe to them. And even then, like if they don't subscribe to the newsletter, it helps people to find your page. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing this and I'm gonna see what the traction looks like, because that's been my biggest challenge with LinkedIn, is just the fact that it feels like I'm talking to no one. And that's so frustrating because the way their algorithm is weird, and there's no signs of them changing it. Like, I feel like they don't have a real incentive to change it. So this is just my little experiment that I'm trying out. So, but yeah, that's what I've been using it for. And then of course for my emails, for my newsletters, that I send to my email list, not my LinkedIn, but my actual email list. I've been taking my live streams and then turning those into emails. So instead of trying to write my thoughts down, I just take what I already said, because my thoughts are just, they're so much clearer when I can just speak them instead of trying to type them out. So taking what I said and then turning that into a newsletter has been really, really helpful as well. So it's been helping me to stay present in multiple places and repurpose my content without having to do a whole lot of like figuring out how to switch this up and make this something different. So those are a couple of the things that I've been using it for. I've used it for like a bunch of other stuff, but I felt like those are the things that like just came to the top of my mind. So if again, if y'all are not using AI, I need you to figure out what it can do for you, because the more that you use it and the more that you train it, the better it's going to be. And it has really been helpful lately. So let me go back to your question, Angel, and then I'm gonna wrap things up. So you asked, do you believe the partnership it gave suited you? Yes, I do. I do. So one of the biggest ones that it mentioned, hey Kuma, one of the biggest ones that it mentioned was long-term partnerships and ambassador programs. And those are two of the things that I definitely know that I do well, because if I can kind of like tell the story and weave things into my story, those tend to do better because people get used to the repetition of it. I can't talk about the details just yet, but there is an opportunity that I have coming up. I have a call this week actually for a new opportunity, a new brand partnership opportunity that came from me doing like series where I'm repeatedly talking about a product over time. And so things like that, they do really good. Like they do really good. Even when I posted about my trip to Lidl, the grocery store, and my stories on Instagram, and those story posts between that one and when I posted about something else, and I posted it like in my stories and kind of like told the story as opposed to just making it one post. Those do well also. So the things that it told me, I was like, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that format. So yeah, I absolutely think that it gave me some good suggestions. So, and then that's just good for me to know, because brands don't always know who to work with as far as influencers go. Like they really are just looking at different numbers and looking at different things than you may be. And so it's really important, especially as the creator, to do your best to make it a partnership and not just them telling you what they want and then leaving it at that, because you might be able to offer insight and perspective to the brand that they didn't know, or you may be able to present a new option that they didn't think about, but because you're approaching it from a different lens, you might be able to bring something valuable to the partnership as well. So Kuma is on YouTube. He said the sound is so much better over here. Yeah. Yeah, I love the quality of the videos on YouTube. So yeah, eventually it's just going to be one platform. I won't say which one, but I think we all know. So anyway, Yeah, so treating those deals like a partnership, knowing where you shine so that when you do have more partnerships and more brand collabs, you are able to position yourself in the best light. So knowing that about yourself, it helps you and it helps the brand. So, yeah, y'all. Okay, and so here's my plug for today because I'm looking and making sure my son's bus isn't coming. Here's my plug for today. So I am going to be. I told y'all last night that I'm going to start offering one-on-one services for people. And so the special that I have going on for this month is called a brand style lab. Okay. And so when you start working with me, it is basically like an audit of your entire brand. So we're going to go through your brand personality. We're going to go through your metrics and the platforms that you're on. We're going to create a strategy so that you are shining on the platform that is best for you. We're going to talk about your strategy offline, not just your content strategy. And then there's going to be some other things that I'm going to throw in there too, depending on each brand, like where you can maybe expand, like where you can take your brand. So when you leave the session, you feel good about the next steps, right? With that session, you're going to also get 30 days of support so that you can implement it. So after we have our call, those 30 days are going to start, and then you'll have that support from me moving forward for the 30 days. So this is going to be a requirement for who I work with moving forward in a one-on-one capacity. But I just know that it's gonna be some good stuff that comes from it. Cause even when I watch some people, I'm like, "Ooh, I can see this, I can see that, I can see that for your brand," but you ain't hired me yet. So when you hire me, then I can give you all the goods. But that's gonna be what I'm gonna have a special on it. So the people who purchase it in the month of November, and I think I'm gonna run it till the end of the year. So from now until December, whenever you'll get this for a special rate and not the rate that's going to be in 2025. So I promise y'all, I've been telling y'all, I'm gonna tell you the price. I promise you, I'm gonna let y'all know what all of that looks like tomorrow. So that you can actually have somewhere to go if you're interested and you can get your consultation set up. But that's what I'm working on behind the scenes. So yeah. Yeah. We're getting it together. We're getting it together. So I'm excited about that. And outside of that, oh, we're at 6:51. Yay, we're almost back. You see, I went down a little bit, Kuma. I don't know what happened. I was at 6:40. When I started, I was at 6:49. I'm now at 6:51. I'm gonna write that down before I go because we're up. It's still down a little bit, but we up. We up from when we started, and that's encouraging. Yeah. No, I know it does. I just felt like it was petty. I was telling them earlier that it's just gonna be a part of my it's just gonna be a part of my documentary, you know, it's gonna make for the ups and the downs of my story. Exactly. Look at that. Yeah, it's so tough when you're trying to when you're like watching it every day. Like it feels so much better when you don't have to think about it from day to day and then you just look up and you're like, "Oh, look at that. I made it." But this is what I said I was going to do. So that's why it's only a month cuz if I did this every day, I would be a nervous wreck. That's way too much monitoring for me. I'm the kind of person who has to turn off their notifications for social media because seeing the little like no that little red button at the top, it stresses me out. Okay, but y'all, my son's bus is here. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I gotta run because she's about to honk her horn at me. Y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.